Toxic friends. I did a Facebook Live on this, and I don't feel like I was able to cover absolutely everything. So toxic friends. We all have a friend that we're not sure is toxic, okay? And sometimes we actually go through friendships not knowing fully if the friendship is for us or against us, yeah? And so if you've experienced moments where you've been on the phone talking to a friend and you come off the phone and you feel drained, tired and just out of sync and almost more needy than you were when you went on. So what's the pattern of a toxic friend? Okay, often a toxic friend, when you go to them for help, often turns the conversation onto them. They don't necessarily allow you to talk about how you're feeling or berate you with things that you're doing and hold up things that you've done in the past which were bad and aren't very supportive. It's common for a toxic friend to only talk about themselves, and in those situations they're not interested in how you are feeling or anything. They just want to turn the conversation back to them. So when you go to them, you turn to them for help, you actually come away feeling as though nothing has changed. It's actually got worse. You haven't been supportive and you actually feel quite alone. So a toxic friend can increase your anxiety. So when you're about to call them or get into contact with them, your anxiety can skyrocket because you're worried about how they're going to receive you, so you tippy-toe around them. They can also increase your depression, right? And how they do this is because of the thoughts you have about what's going to happen when you're on the phone talking to them and how bad you're going to feel afterwards, yeah? So they don't cause the depression and the anxiety, your thoughts do. And because they're a person in your life which is a trigger, this is how you'll end up feeling this way, yeah? Toxic friends can also leave us thinking thoughts which lead us to hurt and shame and jealousy and envy and guilt and all this other mess which we end up feeling and not understanding. It's interesting when you're going through life and you're about to make some changes, how your friends react to you or the people around you who are supposed to support you react to you. Now, here's something I have noticed. I've had a friend who I had many years, over 20 years, who was very unsupportive of anything that I did. And this wreaked havoc within our relationship because the things that I do are very important to me and my lifestyle and so forth. So the friendship was based around her needs and all the things that she wanted to do, yeah? This left me feeling a little bit quite lonely, quite upset, quite rejected and misunderstood and unsupported. Now, the only way for me to really deal with this was to end the friendship. Now ultimately, ending a friendship can be a very difficult decision to make because we get used to certain behaviours and we start practising these behaviours and we think we can't do without them. Now, when we look at what a friend is, you have to decide if your friend is these things. So it's somebody who you know, like and trust. Now, trust is not just about trusting them with money. It's trusting them with yourself, trusting them with your feelings and your emotions. Are they going to abuse it? Are they going to manipulate it for their own needs? Are they going to turn it around and use it against you? Some people like to gather information so they can hurt you with it. That's a very toxic friend. So somebody you share information with and then they hurt you with the information you share with them. That's very toxic. A friend is somebody who supports you. They sympathise with you and they support you towards whatever it is that you're trying to move towards. If you find that your friend isn't supporting you towards something and is competitive, is competing with you, is reminding you about your mistakes, has no time for you other than if they are in a problem and they want to air how they're feeling. This type of friend is not there to help you. This type of friend is to help themselves to you when they need you, okay? That's not the definition of a friend. So if you walk away from your friendships, you leave them, and while you do that, you feel quite burdened, quite upset, quite lonely, quite rejected, quite unsupported. That's your answer. That's your toxic friend. Do you need to have that person in your life? Now, we often keep people around us because we think we need them, okay? And by having that need in our mind, it's actually a demand. We demand that people are with us. We demand that we are not alone. Now, this is actually the problem, is that unhealthy negative belief that we need to have somebody around. So we keep people that aren't helpful around us. So it's counterproductive, yeah? Because you don't want to be alone. You end up being with people that are unhealthy for you. in order to not be alone. This is going to cause you problems, yeah? Because you are not going to have your needs met. Ultimately, the person who you do need is yourself. So when you are feeling in that confusion or upset that you're by yourself and your toxic friends are not giving you the things that you need because you need them to change in order to make you feel better, you're at a loss. The moment you feel you need somebody to change to give you what you need to feel good, you are definitely at a loss because you cannot change anybody. But what you can do is accept them for who they are. And if it's no longer healthy for you, you move forward and progress without them. That might sound a bit cold, but life can be hot and cold, and you're very important. So if you're going to do something which is going to cause you more harm than good, what's the point of that? So there's a point when we have to take responsibility for our toxic friends, because we're the ones who keep them in our lives. We're the ones who perpetuate the need for them and keep their behaviour thriving, because we need them. We don't need them. Okay? Once you change that demand into a preference and you say to yourself, I would prefer to have people around me rather than I need to have people around me, it just makes it that much softer, that much easier to accept. So I prefer to have friends around me. However, if I find that I am not in the friendships I wish to be in, it is not the end of the world. I can stand it. I can accept them and myself, whoever it is that has not been there for me. I can accept that they are who they are and I am who I am, and I'm going to do the best thing for me, and moving forward supports my needs. So there's a point when we have to take responsibility for our toxic friends, because we're the ones who keep them in our lives. We're the ones who perpetuate the need for them and keep their behaviour thriving, because we need them. We don't need them. Okay? Once you change that demand into a preference and you say to yourself, I would prefer to have people around me rather than I need to have people around me, it just makes it that much softer, that much easier to accept. So I prefer to have friends around me. However, if I find that I am not in the friendships I wish to be in, it is not the end of the world. I can stand it. I can accept them and myself, whoever it is that has not been there for me. I can accept that they are who they are and I am who I am, and I'm going to do the best thing for me, and moving forward supports my needs. So ultimately, the point is, you don't need anybody, but you do need yourself. And it can be lonely sometimes, but you can tolerate the loneliness. You don't have to accept absolutely anybody to be your friend. You may have a criteria of what you want a friend to meet. And if you have that criteria and you want that criteria to be what you move towards, well then do it. But remember this, you cannot rely on somebody else to make you feel good. Friendships aren't there to fulfill your need. It's a mutual understanding and it's a give and take. And if you're giving and they're taking and there's no turning that around, well, the answer's there. You know what you have to do. Thank you for watching.